You know how we do when we have funky music in our ear. We get to writing, ain't no fighting, we just sitting there trying to win. Ooh yeah, la-di-da, we grinding hard. Ooh yeah, we not gonna stop. Yeah, 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 yeah. Too late to turn back now. I got work to do on a mission, but my business I'm pushing through.
Hello, sports fans. I'm Nicholas Austin Holiday here with
Antoine Jackson here.
and this is Between Classes Sports. So what a crazy week we had in Week 11 in college football.
Madness.
One of the best weeks that we had. Upsets, we had big wins, we had big losses. So we just want to touch on a few of the games from the top 25 and just kind of discuss what we think happened in the game. Let's start off with the biggest ranked game of the evening, which was Alabama
Mississippi
versus Mississippi State.
Yeah.
So what do you think about it? Just start it off.
It looked like when I was watching the game, it looked like Alabama was about to, bring out the buzzsaw. You know how Alabama get when they rolling tide and they making plays. I like the quarterback Sims. He's very fast. He's not Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady, but he's very dangerous. It's hard to tackle him, and he has Amari Cooper down there, and Yeldon is as explosive to me. I don't know if he was as explosive as last year, the previous years. Maybe teams are focused on him a little bit more. But he's still a good back. But Mississippi State had a lot of turnovers, some key turnovers in the red zone. But that's what Alabama defense does. They'll make you turn it over and stuff like that. But Prescott, he did pretty good. I think maybe the moment was too big for Mississippi State, but they're still in the top 4. They still have a chance to maybe make it to the playoffs. And really, it's almost a benefit if a team doesn't go to the SEC championship, but they're in the top 4, they can pretty much, get in by default. Versus if Alabama goes to the SEC championship and Georgia knock them off, does Alabama have to go home and Mississippi State slides in?
Well, I think they're trying to get 2 teams in from the SEC, preferably the West, because that's their conference. Yeah. Pretty much, that's the power conference in all the nation.
That's their baby right there. Yeah.
But Alabama came into the game as a 8-point favorite. Mississippi State, the number 1 team, was an underdog. But
how are you an underdog, but you ain't number 1 in the country?
I think everybody just saw what Alabama had. Alabama's been really consistent this year. They've been able to control the ball on some teams, just kind of run that clock down on you and just kind of beat you into submission.
So if everybody's seen what Alabama has, why wasn't Alabama ranked higher than Mississippi State?
I think they were just waiting. I think everybody knew they were going to beat Mississippi State, and then they were going to be able to put them in the top. As you can see, they jumped to number 1. But they were able to rattle Prescott some. He threw 3 interceptions. They have
he usually doesn't do that at all.
And Alabama has a really good defense, a solid front 7 there. Their secondary is they're not world beaters, but they're solid. But they'll get pressure on you with that front 7, and they'll really get after you. And they were able to put a lot of pressure on Prescott. Mississippi State fell behind. They clawed their way back into it, but too little, too late when you're dealing with Nick Saban.
Right. And Nick Saban's a great coach. Alabama's a program that has had stability for a long time. I think Mississippi State, how long has Dan Mullins been at Mississippi State?
He's been there since he left Florida under Urban Meyer as the offensive coordinator.
What year was that?
I think Tebow's last year was either 08 or 09.
So he's been at 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, about 5 years?
Yeah, he's been there a while, so he has a system in place.
What a lot of people don't understand is you got to have stability in college football if you want to win. A lot of the top coaches, right in the top 4, top 5, the teams that are considered for playoff consideration, and the teams that some people think should be in the playoffs, their coaches have been there for a long time. With these kids, when they come into a coach's home, they don't want to feel like it's a broken home where you might go here and the coach is leaving, and the kids want to go somewhere there's some stability. Right now, the Gators are going through some things. They have another coach they're getting. They lost Urban Meyer, then they lost Muschamp. Now they're on the hunt again for another coach. That's how programs tend to fall down sometimes. Now it's considering who are they going to get. So now everybody's dreaming. I've heard the Baltimore coach, Harbaugh. I've heard, maybe Rich Rodriguez, who said he doesn't want it because he's probably tired of moving. When these coaches get a certain age, they don't want to be moving around all the time like that. So sometimes the fan bases just have to be a little patient. I know some fan bases, they're spoiled. They don't want to wait. But Alabama, before Alabama burst onto the scene, I hadn't heard from Alabama since '99 with Freddie Mullins.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, and then when once they came, when they were down for a while, and then I think when they started to come back, they had to go back through Florida, because I remember the one game when Florida was kind of getting back, when Urban Meyer came, he had to pay his dues, and he had to go through Alabama, and the one player, Pro Thorpe, tore his knee up that one game.
Alright, yeah.
Yeah, that was a bad play. But that was around the time Bama was just now getting back on the scene, because it was at one point in time Alabama was not on TV at all. You know, then they just came back. You know, the Tide's the greatest program in history. They have a lot of chips, definitely. But Nick Saban has paid so many dues. Nick Saban has coached at Michigan State, LSU for the Dolphins for a while, and now he's at Alabama. And I heard he was at a couple of Division II schools also before he even got to Division I.
That's why he's good.
Some of these coaches have been around. Even Urban Meyer, he's with Bowling Green. He's with Utah. He was with Florida. Now he's at Ohio State. And I heard he was at Division II before. Even with Jimbo. Jimbo was out of Nick Saban's camp. You know, Jimbo was LSU's offensive coordinator before he came to Miami. You know, I remember when Miami lost to LSU in the bowl game. That's when FSU went and got Jimbo to come to be coaching waiting probably like the next year or something like that. The year that we lost 40-3 to LSU, it wasn't too long after that y'all got Jimbo. And when I seen him hire Jimbo, I said, we got a problem. It's going to be a problem here and there, you know, because I know Jimbo, he's always been a good coach. He's always been a great play caller. So I'm just saying you got to have some stability. You know, players don't want to go somewhere where they think within 2 or 3 years this coach is gone. Fans do a disservice to the program when they do that. When you do that, players are like, oh, I don't really want to go there. The coach is not going to be there anyway. I don't want to waste my time over here when I can go to Alabama, and the only pressure for him is to cover the spread or something like that. Or LSU, well, Les Miles is still under the hot seat. They just telling him he just needs to get his quarterback play. Or Ohio State, you know, they had one loss with Virginia Tech, but nobody telling. Or Frank Beamer. Frank Beamer is not on the hot seat. That seat, he probably should be on the hot seat, but I wouldn't like the match. But if Frank Beamer was in Florida, he probably would have been out of here.
Well, you know, when you have a legend at your program, you know, a lot of times you want to let them go on their own terms. That what it looks like is happening with Beamer right now. But speaking about coaching, let's get into, we talked about some good coaches. Let's talk about some bad coaching in Will Muschamp. Will Muschamp in Florida, they finally fired him. I think everybody knew it was coming. They're going to let him coach the last 2 games of the season. But, you know, coming off a 4-8 season last year, which is the big joke in college football, especially for a program like Florida, who's known for powerhouse teams, under Steve Spurrier, under Urban Meyer, national championships, from Danny Wuerffel to Tim Tebow, Muschamp just wasn't getting it done. And the talent hotbed that he's in, they should have never been that bad, unfortunately. They've always had good defenses under him, but that offense has been horrible. The fans have been clamoring for things. But you know what? Steve Spurrier, the old ball coach, he beat his old school. I know a lot of Florida fans were saying that maybe Steve Spurrier would come back to Florida again. Spurrier's not coming back. I think Spurrier said the only time he's going to come back to Florida is when he's ready to retire.
Right.
You know, there's no point in coming back. He's already done what he did. He had that team great through the 90s. He won a national championship. What's to come back to? You know, you work on South Carolina. Unfortunately, South Carolina has a ceiling in the SEC. They've never won the SEC before, even though they're hyped up as being one of the great teams of the SEC. Jadeveon Clowney.
Folklore.
Yeah, but they're not, you know, was it Connor Shaw?
Legend has it. Yeah.
But you know what? They just haven't been, I mean, they haven't won it ever. They haven't won it one single time, unfortunately. And they haven't had a lot of success. They don't have any championships or anything.
Now, the cup is pretty bare in South Carolina. I went to South Carolina one time, and on the way there, the championship trophy case is similar to what I seen. I didn't really see much of anything at all, guys. You know, nothing personal in South Carolina, but I'm a country boy. I seen a lot of country stuff. I just don't think South Carolina will ever win a championship. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I just don't see them hosting a crystal ball anytime soon. And recruits see that, but recruits will still go to South Carolina because it's a nice living, it's a nice stability. You know, it's going to be the same playbook for the most part. They're not going to fight Steve Spurrier. You know, he went to his old school. He got to win. Some Florida fans might feel like, you know, Steve did us another favor again. He got Muschamp out of there. He came out there and got the mess out the house.
In a crazy overtime game, a game that Florida should have won. And that's been one of Florida's MOs for so long. They have the lead.
Spin it up.
You think they're gonna win, and you know what? They find a way to give it up at the end. South Carolina had the ball at the end of the fourth quarter. They were able to drive down the field. Well, they were able to get the ball back. This is after they blocked a field goal and a punt to even get great field position. You can't allow that to happen. You got to max protect. Allow them to get the punt off to give you field
Block
position.
punt was like what, a minute left or something like that.
Yeah, and South Carolina drove down the field, scored a touchdown. They went to overtime and they won the game.
I think that was a situation where the players and with Muschamp, you got to stay focused the whole game. Seemed like the players kind of maybe laxed a little bit, and sometimes the players is a representation of the type of coach you have. They just lack the mental focus. You can't have that mental lapse in the fourth quarter with 2 minutes left to give them a block punt. It seemed like the players were pretty much already celebrating and put the win in the bag, because when they had to go back out there and then South Carolina drives late in the fourth quarter with ease, you know, the players probably were thinking about they were about to get ready to go and leave and get ready to pack up and go home, and it was some more time left on the clock, and by the time that momentum came, you can't get that momentum back in. Steve Spurrier, you know, he said it himself that sometimes he knew he was getting older when he felt bad for a coach about to get fired, and he kind of knew that Muschamp was on his way out. So
Unfortunately, but I want to quickly touch on Notre Dame and Northwestern. Remember, Notre Dame was in the top 10, and they were being talked about to be in the college football playoff because of, you know, Golson at quarterback, Robinson at receiver.
Why?
And they're fresh off of overtime loss to Northwestern,
Who?
Unranked Northwestern. You know, this is following the heels of a crushing defeat by Arizona State. And that's their third loss of the season. They lost to Florida State. They barely beat Navy, and then they take 2 losses in a row. They're out of it right now.
They would not be in it. First of all, they would not be in it. I think the name was selling itself. You know, a lot of teams, a lot of fans like to relish on their favorite teams, and you know what, if it's an ounce of hope, you know they're in contention, and even myself may be guilty of that at times. But Notre Dame never passed the eyeball test. I think the problem with some teams, some fans, the teams are passing the eyeball test, but it's not resulting in the wins and the losses. And that's what's going on with some schools. But at the same time, Notre Dame never struck me as a contender. The only reason why they probably had a chance to beat Florida State was because a few years ago people knew that Notre Dame had came in there before and won. And then Florida State went back and handled that the next year 41-0 in South Bend. So Florida State was up for the game. It was not because that game surprised everybody. Like, whoa, you know. So after that happened a couple years ago, you learn your situation, and you know Notre Dame no game breakers on defense that I know about. Not saying they don't have any offense. I like Golston. I like their running backs. I like Chip Kelly, but you know, until Chip Kelly gets his schedule together, his players will not know what tough is until he starts playing some tough teams. Not saying they don't play anybody, but Notre Dame likes to try to squeeze themselves in the top 5, but they don't like to play a lot of top 5 teams, and it doesn't work like that in college football.
Also, we want to give a quick kudos to Georgia coming out and beating Auburn. Unfortunately for Gurley, after everything with the autograph scandal, he came back. He tore his ACL, unfortunately, in this game. Best running back in the nation. Would have been a top 5 to 10 pick in the NFL draft. Hopefully he gets better soon.
Yeah, he's been like the top. You've been on Gurley for like the past 2-3 years, right?
Oh, Gurley's a great running back. He has the size, the speed, the moves, and everything. Georgia still won the game. They're still a contender in the SEC East. We'll see how that plays out for them. Auburn's defense is horrible. I said it the whole season. They've fallen apart. We're not going to talk about that anymore unless you have something you want to say on it.
No, I just see that. I think Georgia's running attack, you know, and they were already leaning toward the future, you know, with Chubb and Sonny Michel. Georgia has some athletes, some nice athletes over there that are young talent. Even the quarterback looked better last week. I didn't think that, you know, Georgia really had a quarterback, but maybe they're starting to loosen the reins a little bit for their young. He's a freshman, right?
Yeah, he's a young guy.
Yeah, so Georgia, they're going through some things right now. They're getting situated. So, you know, hopefully, you know, maybe they can turn that corner. They're a little upset about losing to Florida, but you know, certain games you just can't. Certain teams you just can't play with. I don't care if they're 0-15. You cannot do certain things like that because of the pedigree of players they may have.
So I also need to give a kudos to FAMU, who won 41-7 over Delaware. The program has been down lately, but that's a big win, and they really needed that, especially after they had the homecoming loss. And, you know, you said USF won?
Yeah, USF beat SMU 14-13. Willie Taggart a good win. A win is a win, but we ready to see some fireworks, please. Can we get some fireworks? So the SMU, they weren't. I mean, but this is late in the season, so teams that were probably bad in the beginning of the season, probably not as bad as before. You see Kansas turning up a little bit with TCU, SMU playing a little bit harder, Tulsa. So all the teams that pretty much were bad, except Eastern Michigan, which is one of the worst teams in America right now, have improved except that team right there, basically. So, you know.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with some action on the UM-Florida State game.
You know how we do when we have funky music in our ear. We get to writing, ain't no fighting, we just in there trying to win. Ooh yeah, la-di-da, we grinding hard. Ooh yeah, we not gonna stop. Yeah, 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 yeah. Too late to turn back now. I got work to do. On a mission, by my business, I'm pushing through, no slacking. Make it happen, we grinding hard, we grinding hard. You know how we do when we have funky music in our ear. We get to writing, ain't no fighting, we just in there trying to win. Ooh yeah, la-di-da, we grinding hard. Ooh yeah, we not gonna stop. Yeah, 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 yeah. Too late to turn back now. I got work to do. On a mission, by my business, I'm pushing through, no slacking. Make it happen, we grinding hard, we grinding hard. You know how we do when we have funky music in our ear. We get to writing, ain't no fighting, we just in there trying to win. Ooh yeah, la-di-da, we grinding hard. Ooh yeah, we not gonna stop. Yeah, 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 yeah. Too late to turn back now. I got work to do. On a mission, by my business, I'm pushing through,